Good morning and welcome to the November DAC Monthly Webcast. I'm Jennifer Stafford, the Director in the Division of Assessment and Accountability Support, and we welcome you today because we have so many exciting updates for you. First, I just want to thank district assessment coordinators for their efforts and building assessment coordinators and the release of school accountability and assessment data. We really do hope that your release went well for you, that we were able to support you with all the materials and information that you needed to effectively and efficiently communicate this newest accountability system. As we look at our agenda today, we do want to bring you up to date on some assessment activities that are happening. We've got Shara Savage going to bring updates and reminders about the ACT. Krista Mullins will bring us updates on the alternate Kentucky Summative Assessment and some reminders because that window is opening soon. And we welcome our friend and colleague, Sherry Craig from the Office of Career and Technical Education to bring us information on the Career and Technical Education program. And then I'll finish us out this morning with the updates from the Kentucky United We Learn November convening, which happened last week. As always, Ben Riley is here taking your questions. So if you have any questions, please email dacinfo@education.ky.gov and we'll answer as many of those as we possibly can. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Shara.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Jennifer. I want to say I hope that your fall testing with ACT went well. Now that we have wrapped that up, I am on here to talk about the spring. So it seems like we finish one and start right into the other. So on your screen, you have two dates and locations for the upcoming Spring 24 Junior Administration. This training, we will not be holding a virtual session, live virtual session with these two trainings. So both of them will have the same content, but we wanted to provide two different locations for your convenience. So we will be talking about updates, OAA policy updates, ACT policy updates as well. I will be joined by ACT colleagues at both locations. So November the 15th will be in Lexington. November 16th will be in Bowling Green. Now later on, we will do a recording of the content, but there won't be a live virtual link to those two trainings. And then, so before those two trainings, we are having the accommodations training. So that will be centered around preparing and administering the accommodations. That will be hosted by ACT, and it will be a virtual only. And again, it will be centered around accommodations. That will happen on Monday, November the 13th at 1 o'clock Eastern time. And the link for the registration is there on the slide for you. And then I wanted to let you know, if you haven't seen it in the Monday DAC email, PAN for the 2024 Junior Administration is open. So at this time, you should be setting up your testing staff. So DACs, you would go in and set up your testing staff. So if there's a new DAC out there that I haven't already updated your information in PAN, please send me an email and I will get that taken care of for you. So if you're a new DAC, send me an email and I will get that taken care of for you. So besides setting up your testing staff, you can go in and be selecting your test date within PAN as well. And then next, so along with the accommodations training on Monday, November the 13th, TAA also opens. So once you attend the training, you can start getting in there and requesting those accommodations or associating your PIN, whichever one is needed for your particular student. And on the slide there, I have given you some resources that can also assist you in completing that task. So at this time, that's all I have for the updates for the ACT. I will stop here and ask Ben if I have any questions that I can assist anyone with.
We don't at this time, but we'll circle back around at the end of the presentation if we get any.
Okay, so at this time, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Krista Mullins, who will give us some updates and reminders about the AKSA.
Good morning, everyone. I am here to talk to us about the Alternate Kentucky Summative Assessment and just some reminders of things coming up with that assessment. The first thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is that tomorrow the attainment task quiz will be closing. And so if your teachers have not completed their quizzes and given you a copy of their certificate, they need to make sure that they get those quizzes completed before that quiz would close tomorrow, November 10th. It's also important that they complete the admin code and inclusion of special populations trainings prior to administering any of the AKSA in Window 1. Speaking of Window 1, our Window 1 administration begins on Monday, November 13th, and it will close on December 15th. The student registration database, the SRD, will also open for score entry on Monday, November 13th for both Window 1 and the Transition Attainment Record, or the TAR. The SRD has been open for DACs currently to be able to update rosters and make sure students are entered in there so that teachers are able to start entering those scores when it opens for them on November 13th. One thing I wanted to bring to your attention is the field test items that we will be having this year. The testing materials that you received have field test items for each content area. But one important thing to note is there are different forms for those field test items. So when the teachers are entering the scores, they need to make sure they indicate the correct form that they used for those students. Another thing that will be happening this year is a few changes to the SRD because we're having those field test items. There's a little bit different way that we'll be entering those scores. When they first open up SRD to enter those scores, they will be prompted to select which field test form number that they gave to the student. So they would choose either option 1, 2, or 3. And the correct number can be found on the binder cover sheet, and it will also be on the top right-hand corner of the field test. On the SRD, there will be tabs across the top, and so if they're entering scores for mathematics, they'll click on the mathematics tab and then enter those scores. Each item, this is something new as well, each item must have a score entered. So if a student did not respond, they will choose no response. Anytime they're entering data into SRD, they want to click on Save and Submit so that it will save the scores that they've entered. And once all scores in all content areas have been entered and they click Save and Submit, none of those scores can be edited unless the whole record is reset, which would erase all data, and then they would need to go back in and enter those scores again. So as long as not all content areas have been entered, those scores have been entered, and they click Save and Submit, it will save the progress, and they can go back in and continue to enter scores, or if they've noticed they made an error, they could fix that error at that time. Another thing I wanted to let you know that we have our released items for the 2021-2022 school year and the 2022-2023 school year. Those can be viewed on our website, and the link is here in this slideshow. And those released items are operational questions that are pulled from each content area and grade level and made available for you, your teachers, parents to be able to look at those. And those questions are no longer used for the alternate assessment. We also released the data showing how students performed on each of these test items. I did want to remind you, though, that if there are less than 10 students in a subgroup on that item, that data will be suppressed. And so that data would not be available for those. And that concludes my section on the alternate Kentucky summative assessment. Ben, do we have any questions?
You got one question, but it looks like it might be something that needs to be handled individually as it's going to deal with the student, and we want to make sure we're protecting that student information. So I'm going to send it to you via email. We'll make sure we get them taken care of.
All right, thank you so much, Ben. And yes, I will look at that email and get that response out to you. All right, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to my colleague, Sherry Craig, in the Office of Career and Technical Education, so she can bring you some updates.
Thank you, Krista. Appreciate that. My name is Sherry Craig with the Office of Career and Technical Education, and I'm going to be bringing you some upcoming testing deadlines and timelines. First is the CTE End of Program Assessment, the EOP assessment, which is one measure of the career readiness as a post-secondary readiness indicator for Kentucky's accountability system. The EOP assessment is also one measure of the post-secondary credential for federal Perkins accountability, and the EOP assessments are administered in ESES, an online testing system. And a link is provided here for a complete list of EOP assessments for articulated credit that are by pathway. And then each EOP assessment is associated with one or more statewide articulation agreements. There's a link to those there. Also, the end of program assessment, December 1st, the 23-24 CTE EOP assessment coordinator and test administrator manuals will be available along with the CTE EOP online IT requirements. You may refer to the EOP assessment webpage for more details on December 1st. I will say that the assessment testing window is February 19th through March 29th. And all EOP testing must be completed by March the 29th. And schools some have already, but schools are asked to identify their consecutive 2-week school testing window within the assessment testing window by completing the form, the 23-24 EOP assessment school testing window selection form. And again, that's by December 1st. Next, the February 1st is a critical deadline for EOP. This is how students are registered and receive a test ticket. So students must be properly identified as a concentrator in a career pathway in TEDS, the Technical Education Database System, by February 1st in the current school year to receive a test ticket. For clarification, as a reminder, a concentrator is any student that has completed 2 courses in a single program of study or career pathway in Kentucky. A course is defined as 1 credit of the student's official transcript. So in December and January, CTE EOP assessment coordinators at school level should work with their TEDS coordinators to verify each student's concentrator status is correctly identified and that the correct EOP assessments are indicated. TEDS coordinator should run the EOP test ticket reports in TEDS before February 1st to verify that the data is accurate for the February 1st deadline. I have confirmed the test ticket report in TEDS will be populating available after December 4th. So the EOP test ticket report from TEDS data will be pulled as of February 1st to generate the ESES test tickets. So refer to the links of the TEDS monthly notes in the TEDS website for more information regarding TEDS data. Also, the end of program assessment results are scheduled to be released by April the 16th. The 24-25 the 2023-24 performance results and the EOP certificates will be available in ESES. DACs and end of program assessment coordinators will have access to the certificates and performance reports. Districts of schools may also have assigned administrative ESES accounts, and those additional ESES report users will have access to performance reports as of April the 16th. And for students meeting benchmark, assessment results will be available in State Edition IC for students for their official high school transcript, and the assessment will show on the student's e-transcript. Next, I wanted to remind you that the Tech Ready Apprentices for Careers in Kentucky, or TRAC pre-apprenticeship assessment, which is also administered in ESES, similar to the inter-program assessments. There are a few slight differences, and I'll explain those now. The TRAC pre-apprenticeship assessments are a component of an industry certification. You may refer to the TRAC process document, the links provided here, or contact Mary Taylor in the Office of Career and Technical Education for more details. TRAC carpentry, electrical, and welding pre-apprenticeship assessments are administered in ESES, and those will be administered during the school's 2-week EOP assessment testing window, which will be in between February 19th and March the 29th. Not all schools participate in TRAC, but if a school does have a TRAC program, they would administer the TRAC pre-apprenticeship assessments for carpentry, electrical, and welding during their end of program assessment testing window. There are specific instructions related to the TRAC pre-apprenticeship assessments, and those are available here. The February 1st is also a critical deadline for the TRAC pre-apprenticeship assessments, similar to the end of program assessments. However, the student must be enrolled and identified as a concentrator in a specific TRAC pathway. For instance, the skills trades commercial track, or the skilled trade commercial electrical track, or the skilled trade welding track, and in Infinite Campus and TEDS. And the student's record must show 4 credits, either earned or completed, or currently enrolled in the 4th credit in Infinite Campus and TEDS in the specific skilled trade track pathway sequence of courses in the same year the student is the assessment is taken. In other words, the student must have completed the 4 credits or be on track to complete the 4 credits the same year the assessment is administered to the student for TRAC pre-apprenticeship assessments. Also, the February 1st deadline, again, the data to generate the test tickets will be pulled from TEDS as of the February 1st. And again, schools should work, or coordinators should work with their TEDS coordinators to verify the students identified as a concentrator in the specific TRAC pathway, and the specific TRAC assessments are indicated. And again, the TEDS coordinator should run the TRAC test ticket report in TEDS before February 1st to verify the student's data is accurate. And again, the TRAC test ticket report will be available and will be populating after December the 4th, or as of December the 4th. Next, I just wanted to mention the Alternate Assessment Career Readiness CWC and ESAR. So students in an alternative high school diploma course of study who are working towards career readiness may become career ready for post-secondary readiness by completing the 4 Career Work Experience Certification, or CWC courses, and meeting benchmark on the Employability Skills Attainment Record, or the ESAR. Career readiness is not mandatory, but the opportunity for career readiness must be available to students. Some reminders for the CWC and the ESAR deadlines and timelines. The Career Work Experience Certification Qualified Administrator, or the Employability Skill Attainment Record Qualified Administrator quizzes are open now and available in the online training system, the OTS, and will be available until December 22nd. And schools may begin assessing students in the ESAR after the QEA passes the ESAR quiz. The Career Ready Database, or CRD, officially opens for CWC status completion and ESAR score data entry as of November 13th. Supporting evidence for the CWC and ESAR should be retained in the Career Readiness Alternate Assessment folder, or the CRAFT, and the ESAR administration must be completed by May the 24th. And the last day to enter the CWC completion status and the ESAR scores in the CRD for the year 23-24 is going to be May 31st. Also, as a reminder, all individuals participating in test administration must complete the required assessment regulation trainings prior to the test administration at the school level. If you have any questions, you can contact me, Sherry Craig, with the Office of Career and Technical Education, or KDEOP information if you need assistance with the end of program assessment or the track pre-apprenticeship assessment. If there are any questions, here's a list of my colleagues in the Office of Career and Technical Education, and we will be happy to assist you. Ben, are there any questions so far?
We don't have any questions at this time, but again, we'll circle back around at the end of our webcast today and ask them then.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll turn it back over to Jennifer to close us out. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry, and thanks to Shara and Krista as well on their presentation and information. I wanted to share an update with you about the Kentucky United We Learn Council. It did meet last week in November 2nd and 3rd. And as you may recall, we've talked about several times, the Kentucky United We Learn Council is tasked with recommending strategic practice and policy and investment ideas that relate to the Kentucky United We Learn report. You may recall that report started with a listening tour back in 2020. Dr. Glass, the commissioner at that time, went around virtually the state and heard from many of our education stakeholders about ideas to improve Kentucky's educational system. Through various other entities and councils, the Kentucky United We Learn Council was created, and it met for the first time in November of 2022. So we had the celebration of the 1 year kickoff to the Kentucky United We Learn initiative. Now, the council is comprised of 3 standing committees that were aligned to that Kentucky United We Learn report. First standing committee is around vibrant learning experiences. Another one is around the accelerating innovation, particularly in assessment and accountability. And then the third one is for creating bold new futures and collaborations with communities. So it's alive, it's well. We had lots of good discussion last week. We were blessed with our interim commissioner, Robin Kinney, who got to speak with us, as well as our chair and vice chair of the Kentucky Board of Education, Dr. Sharon Porter Robinson and Dr. Lou Young, really talked and gave some very inspirational speeches during that time, and led us through developing or drafting a moonshot, which that's that big overall lofty goal for the council. I really encourage you to watch the convening if you have time, that because it is going to eventually have recommendations, especially around accountability. So I want district assessment coordinators to keep on track and up to date with the information there, because you may be asked about the work of the council. So if you have time, read the press release that went out, as well as the link again to the media portal on the KDE website. Just want to pause here again one more time and see if there are any questions, Ben, for myself, for Sherry, Krista, or Shara that have come in since we stopped.
Sure. We've not gotten any questions at this time, but if anyone watching the recording or if anyone has any lingering questions that come up later, please email DAC info and we will get you to the right person that presented today and get you answered.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next DAC webcast is in December. I can't believe it's already time for the holidays. We wish you from the Office of Assessment and Accountability happy Thanksgiving, and we will see you back here in December. Thanks. Be safe and stay healthy.